DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are getting into part 2 of this 2-part mini-series on the 6 pieces of a successful book. And it's not just a successful book launch. It is not just a successful book as in the product of a book, but the whole thing. We're talking holistically. You want to put a book out and you want the entire process, from the book itself to the launch of the book, to the sales of the book, to the money you make, to the impact that it has, to the hopefully the change you are able to inspire in your readers. All of that from top to bottom. I'm talking about all of it in just 6 simple points. So yesterday I gave you the first 3, today I'm going to give you the other 3. But before we get started, let me remind you all, send out a text every day guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point. I call it the Daily Motivation. Also send one out every week called the Monday Motivation. You should be getting those texts. Just text me at my number, 305-384-6894. You'll join my text community. And as soon as we get that thing working again, as soon as you text me, you will get an auto response. If you don't get it, it's because we still have some issues to work out, some kinks, some tech kinks to work out, but we will get that fixed. And just join my text community by texting me at that number. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. There is where we have a 4-part framework based around mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability. We are looking for people who want to be at the top of their game. Athletes are in the top 1 or 2% of what we do professionally. And those of you as entrepreneurs or professionals, you want to be in the top 1 or 2% of what you do, or you're already there and you want to stay there, or you're looking to go even higher, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can see everything that we're doing. You can get yourself scheduled on the time to get on the call with us free of charge. We can talk about where you're at, where you want to go, what's in your way. And when we see that we know what your challenge is, we believe we can help, and we believe you'd be a good fit for us, we'll tell you how it works, and we will go from there. That link, again, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That out the way, let's get right into this, picking up from where we left off yesterday. We're on point number 4. We were talking again the 6 pieces of a successful book. And again, this is holistically the entire book, not just the putting out of the book or the writing, but all of it. Number 4, financial piece here. What I mean is with the pricing of your book, that's part of it. And the pricing is also includes, how much money do you want to make holistically from the fact that you even have this book coming out. So that can be more than just the actual cost of the book itself. So let's say you want to charge $20 for your book. That's part of the finances also. But let's say you have more than one book. Do you want to bundle this together with other books? Do you want to use your book to sell other things, such as coaching or courses, or you're a professional speaker as well? Those are all things you can bundle into the pricing of your book. So understand that your pricing, whatever you're going to price your book, let's just say with the book itself, if we keep it simple, needs to factor in who your audience is, where this book is going to be placed, meaning who is it going to be in front of. When I say placement, positioning, positioning is how you talk about the book. What are you saying about it, and what impression do people have of your book based on how you talk about it? That's positioning. The value of the book. What are people going to get out of it? What kind of change is going to happen? What problems get solved? That's the value. And also your hard costs. Hard costs are simply, how much does it actually cost you to get one copy of your book printed? How much does it cost to get the book shipped? Based on where you're shipping it, how much does that cost? If you have inventory that you need to hold somewhere, are you paying for the inventory cost? All of that, those are the hard costs. That's the stuff that you can actually count on a calculator. So if you are writing a book, I would assume that you have probably read some books before you started writing a book. I don't know too many people who've written a book, but they never read a book before. And that would mean, since you've read books before, you have a pretty good idea of how books get priced. You have a general idea how much a book costs, right? And Work on Your Game University, I work with people on the pricing of their books and other products, and talk about how they can subsequently make more money off the book besides just the price of the book. Again, it doesn't have to be from book sales directly, because we know that a book costs what? Anywhere up to maybe $30 is how much somebody's going to charge for a book. Well, if you want to make a lot of money, let's say you want to make something like $10,000 a month, and this is a number that I hear often from entrepreneurs, is, first of all, you got to sell a lot of $30 books in order to make $10,000 a month. That's a lot of sales, and that's assuming you sell the book for $30. What if you sell for $15? mean, we can just do the math on this. You can know how much money you stand to make based on the cost of your book. So if you want to make $10,000 a month and you were selling your book for $15, was about a common price that I see. It means you got to sell 667 books every month. It's technically 2/3 of a book, but we'll just say 667 books every single month. And that makes you $10,000. That would get you right at $10,000 if you sold 667 books at $15 a month. I did an article on this some time ago where I talked about entrepreneur math. I called it $250,000 math. If you want to make a certain amount of money, you just need to do the math on what are you going to be selling and how much you're selling it for, and how many of them you would need to sell in order to make the money that you want to make. And also, this is not counting your outbound costs. In order to every book that you sell, first of all, you have to print it, you have to ship it, you have to pay for the label, you got to pay for the envelope that the book goes in, you have to pay for whoever is housing the book. So if you're selling 667 books a month, those books have to sit somewhere or they got to get shipped to you. So there's a cost for that. There's probably going to be some type of software system that is tracking every order and making sure that the orders go where they're supposed to go, and no tracking numbers get sent out and emails get sent, notifications, all of that. That's going to cost you something. So it's not actually $10,000. I mean, revenue wise, it is $10,000, but then after all your costs, it's going to be significantly less than $10,000. The whole point being, we want to work on, and this is what we do in Work on Your Game University, we work on what other ways can you monetize the fact that you have someone's attention from your book and make yourself more money in ways that are even higher margin. So for example, a course, you can make more money selling a course than you can make selling a book. And the course usually doesn't have as much fulfillment cost as a book, because most courses are online. So I sell you a course, it doesn't cost me any money to make the sale to you. And for you to get access to the full course, it doesn't cost me any money, because I already have the website, already got the back end set up, already got the course materials on there. None of that's costing me any money to just get it to you. But if you buy a book from me, a physical book, I have to print the label, I have to put it in an envelope, I have to actually get the book printed, and I have to pay for the shipping. So all of that stuff costs me money. So this is why you want to look for higher margin things that you can couple with the fact that you have a book that can allow you to make more money than just the sale of the book. Because again, that's a lot of book sales you got to make in order to make the kind of money that I hear a lot of entrepreneurs talk about wanting to make. So it does not have to be just from the sale of a book. So when you're writing books, most people I know who write books, and almost everyone, not almost, but everyone I work with who writes a book, you have other things to sell besides just your book. Things such as courses. You can sell more than one book. You can sell bundles of books. For example, over here we have the Bulletproof bundle. You have coaching, you got speaking, consulting. You can sell webinars. You can do some type of training and many other things that I'm not even listing here. So the financial part of your book is about the price of the book, factoring in your costs to actually get the book into the hands of the buyer, but also what are the ways that your book can produce money for you and your business that go further than just whatever the book costs. This is all part of your marketing and business strategy. So you need to be thinking about all of this stuff as you're marketing your book. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, we're talking about the 6 pieces you need to have a book, to have a successful book. Again, this is all of the book. This is the whole life cycle of a book, not just putting it out. Number 5 is the production. Production means getting the actual book in your hands so that you can get it into the hands of your readers, meaning you actually having a physical book. Or what needs to happen in order for you to get that book in your hands. So all of these things, all of this is part of it too that I didn't even get into. So this is an important part of putting books out that people have become more knowledgeable of these days, simply because of the ubiquity of self-publishing. And the ubiquity of self-publishing makes it easy for anyone, even yourself, to write a book, put it out, and actually have a physical copy of the book, and you can wave it around and show everybody, hey, here's my book. It's pretty easy for anybody to do that these days, relatively easy, because so many authors these days, indeed, are self-published. It used to be a thing, back in the day. It actually is still a thing today. It's still a badge of honor for an author to write a book with a traditional publisher, where you sign a contract with a traditional publishing company, and they technically own the publishing rights to the book. You sign those publishing rights away. That's what a publishing deal is. You sign away the publishing rights to actually own the publication of the book. but it still has your name on it and you get all the credit for it. But the publishing company actually owns the rights of the book. So anytime a author writes a book with a traditional publisher, the publishing rights are owned by the company, not by the individual who wrote the book. Now, later on, there are other details of that where you can buy back the ownership of the book, but usually it takes a certain amount of time because the publishing company wants to make their money. All right, that's the reason why they did the deal. They want to make some money off the book. They're not just going to give it to you just because. And you signed the contract, so I mean, you really have no recourse to just say, "Hey, give me the publishing rights back." And if your book is extremely successful, probably in your lifetime, you're probably not going to get a chance to buy those publishing rights back because the company wants to keep it and keep making money off the book. So you think of any extremely successful book that sells a lot of copies, the publishing company who did that deal is not selling the rights of that book back to the author, even if the author wanted to, because why would they? And they're making money off it. Anyway, this is why, again, you want to look at other ways to make money from your book. So since so many authors these days are self-published, i.e. they put their books out themselves, and that allows you to retain complete 100% ownership over the book that you have published. And because so many authors may not even have the option of publishing through a traditional publisher, and many authors think they do, but they actually don't. Once you have written your book, you need to get your book actually available so somebody can buy it. Okay, so that's what the production piece is. It needs to be available so someone could buy it if they wanted to. And not just buy it, but also read it. Hopefully they read it, whether it be a digital book or a physical or an audio. So getting a physical book printed is becoming super easy these days. Platforms that offer physical printing, such as Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing, also which is abbreviated as KDP. They give you templates that allow, all you have to do is just download the template. You can take all your book content, slap it into the template, and it is already perfectly formatted to fit Amazon's requirements, and then you get a cover design and you can have your book in your hand within the next 10 days. You have a book, physical book in your hands. And again, it'll be printed properly. It'll fit on the pages the way it's supposed to and all of that. And they show you exactly how to do this on Amazon's KDP. They show you how to do this. And again, you don't have to do all this stuff yourself, folks. You can just hire somebody who knows how to do this stuff. You can get with somebody who understands it, who can walk you through the process. You don't have to bang your head against the wall trying to figure it out. But in a general sense, once you've done it a time or two, it is relatively easy. But just because something is easy doesn't mean everybody's going to do it. That's why I'm bringing this up. So you need to consider the production, how you're going to get your books printed, how you're going to get them ready for the public. And then there's the next step, which we'll get to in a moment. So how are you going to actually do this? If you want to sell that 667 books per month, you need to think about, all right, how often am I going to order a new shipment of books? If you're selling that many books, 667 books a month, what does that mean you're selling? About 10, 20 books a day? Yeah, 20, 22, 23 books every single day you're selling those. So how are you going to ship those? Are you going to do the shipments yourself? Are you going to take the books to the post office every single day? Are you going to buy all those labels? You're going to do all the shipping, printing? How are you going to do all that? Somebody has to take care of that. So again, think about these things. And when you're going into any business, how am I going to do the fulfillment? Fulfillment is what you do after somebody buys something from you. And that's the process of you getting the thing that they bought to them. How are you going to fulfill the order once it is paid for? Amazon has a great fulfillment process, and part of it, the front-facing part, is called Amazon Prime, which states that if you have Amazon Prime, many products that are sold on Amazon, you can get it shipped to your house within the next 2 days. Often, it'll be 1 day, depending on the product. If it's a very ubiquitous product, you get the product 1 day. If you order early in the morning, some of you have probably seen this, especially if you live in big cities, you get the product the same day. I can go on Amazon at 7 in the morning, order something. They say, well, we can get it to you by 12 o'clock this afternoon, depending on what the product is. That's fulfillment. Now, they have a whole system that allows them to fulfill that fast. There's a company, speaking of shipping, called Uline, that a lot of any of you who ships physical goods, a lot of us use them. And if you do ship physical goods, you should use Uline because they have pretty much anything you could need to ship physical goods and everything else. Anything that goes in a warehouse or an office building, they got it. All types of stuff. Mop ringers, those yellow caution signs that you put on the floor when you mop the floor. You don't want anybody to slip and fall. Bubble mailers, all kinds of things. Anything you can think of. Their catalog, their product catalog is super thick with all these products that they sell. And Uline has warehouses all over the United States, at least in the United States. And they have a very tight fulfillment process. Whenever I order from Uline, they say as long as you place your order before like 6 p.m. Eastern, then your product is guaranteed to be shipped to you and arrive to you within 24 hours. They do next day shipping. You don't have an option of anything cheaper. So like the cheapest shipment I can get from you on is like $22 for shipping. So what I do is I wait till I need a couple products and I just order them all at the same time because I know I got to pay $22 in shipping. And that's just the process. The whole point is they have a solid fulfillment process. So if you're going to ship a lot of books, and take it from me as a person who has, I remember in the last year that I really focused on selling books, just selling books, and I wasn't really, I would not that I wasn't selling other things, but I was selling books and I was running a lot of my front end ads just to sell books. I just wanted to sell book after book after book, just ship as many books I possibly could. The last year that I did that was 2020, it was 2021 and going into 2022. So it was 2021 mostly, and then summer 2022. I did this, and the fulfillment process it can be an arduous process if you're making a lot of sales. And I was making a lot of sales. And you have a book. Imagine if you're selling 20 books a day. Imagine if you're selling 20 books and then you got a bunch of upsells and people buy the bundles, and now you need a bigger envelope and you got to fit all the books in there. And then you got 10 orders you got to fulfill. Now you got to make sure people's addresses are correct, and somebody didn't give you their apartment number, or somebody's emailing you, hey, I ordered the book 3 weeks ago and I never got it. And now you got to figure that out. You got to go dig through. You got to take the books to the post office or whatever the process is to get them shipped out. It can become a job in itself just fulfilling the orders if you're making a lot of sales. So you want to think about all of these things. Don't just think about the end game of how much money you're going to make. You think about what you have to do because you're making that money. Okay, so to make money, there's something you got to do. And you want to think about your margins. You want to think about your fulfillment. You want to think about the costs. And the costs are not just in dollars, folks. The costs are also in time and energy that you have to give up in order to fulfill what you just sold. All right, that's all part of the game. Point number 6. We're talking here today is what we're talking about today is 6 pieces of a successful book. Number 6 is distribution. Distribution means literally getting the book in front of people who need to know about it. In other words, getting yourself seen, heard, and known. And distribution applies to products the same way it applies to people. Any of you who's good at what you do, and you feel like not enough people know about you, then you got a distribution problem, right? Also known as marketing. We call it marketing when we're talking about people. We're talking about products. We call it distribution. You can also call it marketing as well. Distribution just means getting the word out about what you have so that the people who might be interested can at least be eligible to find out about it. Now, of course, we have readers. Those are the people who will buy your books. But also, you want to think about the people who have access to your readers. People who have access to your readers is where you would use the Dream 100 strategy. I talked about the Dream 100 in episode number 24, 84, 85, and 86. I did a 3-part series on the Dream 100. So if you haven't listened to that, again, it's episodes 24, 84, 85, and 86. And the Dream 100 strategy is simply finding people who have an audience of people who might be your readers and figuring out how you can collaborate with the person who has that audience and get your message in front of that audience such that their fans can also become your fans. So that's a form of collaboration. And this is something that I do all the time. Over here at Work on Your Game, we do a lot of collaborating. I have appeared on, since 2015, when I went full time into entrepreneurship, I've probably appeared on 300 to 400 different platforms of other people's shows. And the bulk of those have been over the last 3 years, or we'll say 2020. So between 2020, 21, 22, 23, maybe last 4 years. The bulk of that number that I just gave you has happened over the last 4 years. And that's upwards of 50 to 100 appearances every year on other people's platforms. So basically every 3 days I'm appearing on somebody else's platform because we have a process for leveraging the Dream 100. Why do we do that? Because it allows me to get my message in front of other people who already have an audience, people who already know I can trust them. I get some of that to rub off on me. I get in front of that audience and I can get new fans into my world. And at the same time, I can create an opening where now I have a new connection in business and this person is already out there. They already have traction. How can we figure out ways that we can work together even further and maybe even just appearing on their show? So there are other things that we can do. So these are forms of collaboration, and this is all called the Dream 100. And this is something that you want to do on an ongoing basis because the Dream 100 is a marketing strategy. Okay? Dream 100 is not just a tactic, it's a strategy. And strategies you want to operate on a consistent basis. This is the process piece. So when I talk about Work on Your Game University and I talk mindset, strategy, systems, and accountability, this is the system. Dream 100, there's a system for how we do the Dream 100. And any of you can create a system for how you use the Dream 100 based on who your audience is. So that's part of the distribution process. And again, you can run advertising as well. That's another thing you can do to distribute your products. You can make content to get your book sold. And there are many other subcategories under each of these three that I just mentioned. So different ways to do the Dream 100. There are a million different ways to run ads, and there's a lot of different content that you can put out. So in other words, once your book is out or is about to be out, you need to think about what are you going to strategically do to make sure that people know that it's out, that people know the value of the book, and what it's going to do for them if they were to buy it and read it. So you need a plan for this. This is not something you should just be randomly doing. Now, you might think of a new idea today, but you need an overall plan for what I'm going to tell people about this book, what I'm going to tell them is going to do for them, and when I get their attention, what am I going to tell them why they should go? What am I going to tell them to help them understand why they should go get it? You need answers to those questions. So you don't want to be doing what we call random acts of marketing. You want to be consistently marketing you should come up with ideas consistently, but also you want to have a process into which those ideas can fit. That's the best way of saying it. Same way that I have a process for recording the show. I come up with an idea. I might come up with an idea 5 minutes from now, but I have a process for what I'm going to do with that idea. So the process is already in place. New ideas just get thrown into the filter, and they get put in the place that they're supposed to go because we have a process. We have a system. This is one of the pieces, again, that we have in Work on Your Game University and what I help entrepreneurs like yourself with. So with that out the way, let's recap today's class, which is part 2 of the 2-part series, mini series here. 6 pieces of a successful book. Number 4 is financial. This is the pricing of your book. This, again, factors in audience placing, positioning, value, your cost. Also, the other ways that you can make money from the book besides just the sales of the book, because there are a lot of other higher margin things that you can sell, like coaching, speaking, and consulting and courses on the back end of selling a book. So the book may just be the front end introductory offer, then you sell more stuff on the back. Number 5, production. That means getting the book in your hands so that it can go into the hands of your readers. This is an important part of putting books out that people are more knowledgeable of, because we have self-publishing these days. So people are used to going through the whole process of coming up with the idea of the book, then getting it done and getting it out, then actually physically having a book in their hand. You need to think about this is if you want to sell a lot of books, you got to do a lot of production. And you need to think about who's going to be handling all that process, including the fulfillment, because that can become a job in itself if you're selling a lot of books. Trust me, I've been there. Number 6, distribution. Getting the book in front of people who need to know about it. Readers, of course, but also people who have access to your readers. This can be the Dream 100. This can be your advertising. This can be your content. So you want to have a plan, a full-fledged plan and strategy for how you are going to, and a system for how you're going to get the word out about what you're doing so that the people who need to know about it can know about it and they can do something with what they know, which is, of course, go buy your book. So with all that out the way, folks, if you're not yet a member of Work on Your Game University, especially those of you who are authors, coaches, speakers, thought leaders, and you want to make sure you have a plan and system for getting the word out about what you do, whether you are writing a book or not, you need to go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. And those of you who are not authors, you're not even thinking about being an author, you have your business going, but you want to get to a higher level of what you're doing when it comes to the way you think, when it comes to your everyday overall game plan of activities, when it comes to the process of what you're doing consistently, and you want to make sure you're being held accountable to stay at that high level that you're at, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Again, workonyourgameuniversity.com, links down below. Mindset, strategy, systems, accountability is our process. And text me, see you on my text community. Your number is 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre, all